Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel, and if you are returning, thank you as always for being here. I am excited to share some more paint pouring that I've done, so let's go ahead and get right on into it. Paint pour number one. All right, I have a Dollar Tree canvas and I'm just gonna go ahead and get that prepped and ready to use. And I am starting out with phthalo blue. This is mixed with just water. It is paint and water. It's an Arteza paint. I've got it available in my Amazon store if you want to check out exactly what I purchased, and a link for my Amazon store is in my description box. But I didn't mix up a whole lot of it because I knew I only needed a little bit. So I covered on a diagonal half of my canvas, and now I'm coming in with my titanium white. This is by Amsterdam, also purchased on Amazon and also available at my Amazon store if you want to check that out. And I'm just going to use my little dowel that I was using to stir my paint with to kind of smooth it out and cover the other half of the canvas here. I'm just making sure that everything is nicely covered. And I am having the two colors butt right up against each other, or kind of kissing each other, as I've heard other paint pourers talk about doing. So just getting that all set and smoothed out. And once I have that all done, I'm going to be moving on to my next step. But just wrapping that up. Now you can see my white is bleeding into my blue in the middle there a little bit. I think my white is a little bit more liquid, a little thinner. That's what I was going to say, than the blue. I think that's why that's happening. But I just used my torch just to pop the air bubbles. And now I'm going to come in with my colors. This is my crimson red, and again, this is from Arteza. I had gotten a pack, so everything but my white is Arteza. And I'm going to be using the same colors for all three of the paint pour projects that I'm going to be doing today. This is the ultramarine blue that I'm using, so it's a little bit lighter than the phthalo blue that I used to cover the one half of the canvas. And now I am using silver, and this is a little bit of a metallic, so it's going to give a little shimmer to my picture when it's all done. And I'm using very little paint down the center. I've found that I tend to have a heavy hand, and so I'm trying my best to go a little bit lighter for this one. And now I'm taking some extra white paint and I'm pouring that right alongside of the colors that I dropped down. I'm going to use that to blow over my design and then blow back. And that is the Dutch pour method. So you see me blowing over it, getting that all covered, and then I'm going to be blowing it back. So just oh, and this is where I realized that I'd forgotten to prop it up. You want to make sure that you prop up your paint pour projects before you start in. So I've got my little stands here. I was like, oh shoot, all of my paint is running off and I forgot to lift up my canvas. So these little stands are also in my Amazon store. You can also use push pins, which I'm going to be using a little later. But now I've got my hair dryer again, and I find the hardest part for me is keeping that cord out of the way and out of the paint. So I went ahead and I blew it, and now I'm still trying to get it to blow a little bit more. This is on the low setting for the hairdryer, and the paint really isn't budging any longer. And so to me, that's a sign that I actually did pretty well with not putting too much paint down. So I'm going to come in and just use my mouth and blowing with my mouth. So don't mind my head as you see that entering the frame. But then I'm going to flip it around, and I think I ended up blowing it a little bit more the other direction here. Let's see. Yes. So I'm just blowing it out a little bit more, trying to get my picture to open up a bit and have all the dimension of the different colors coming out. And so just making sure I've got it situated here for my next step of what I'm going to do. going to go ahead and just make sure all of my sides are covered. So whatever I see on the top, I want when it cascades down the side for it to match, for lack of a better term. And I didn't have quite enough paint to make sure that my sides were covered here, so I just grabbed my phthalo blue and I'm using the little dowel again that I had used to stir the paint with to help me get it covered and hopefully be making less of a mess. But I just continued to do that around the edge of the entire canvas, making sure I use whatever color was butting up against that edge. So on the white side, I used white. Now, when I got over there, I realized I didn't have enough paint to get it to cascade down over the edge. So I'm just adding in a little bit more white paint around that corner where I've got all of that white there. So I'm being careful not to get it close to the colors that I've blown out. And it's really just for the purposes of helping to pull it down over the edge and covering up the sides of my canvas. So I just went ahead and I completed that and made sure that that was all set. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my torch again. So this is going to be popping any of the air bubbles, and as a result it leaves some really cool patterns, some little tiny cells that pop up here. I don't know that you can see them super well here, but I will be showing you a close-up once this is dry, so just stay tuned and you'll get to see it all dry and super close up, so you'll be able to see those cells. So now I flipped it around and I've been looking at the composition, and I know that I'm not 100% happy with it and I want to do something more. And so I'm kind of fiddling with the paint again, making sure that this side is completely covered. There were some spots that it looked like I had missed, so just getting that settled. And then I thought about bringing this stir stick in, and then ultimately decided to use my finger. Now I was really afraid to do this because I did like where this was going and I was afraid I was going to mess it up. And y'all, I love how this piece turned out. I was so happy afterwards that I did this. So I guess I would encourage you, if your gut is telling you that your piece needs something more, go for it. Try it, right? I almost wish that I had done this more and in the pieces that I'm going to show you after this. I love how this turned out, but let me know what you think. Paint pour project number 2. All right, I have another little canvas. This one is actually from a pack that I got on Amazon. It was a pack of, I think it was 10 different canvases for, I thought, a really good price. Again, available in my Amazon store if you want to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and get this all set and ready to go. I'm pulling out this time a bunch of these giant thumbtacks, also available in my Amazon store, that I'm going to be using instead of those little stands that I used with the last piece. Now with these, I have learned that it can help you get everything nice and level. So first thing I'm going to do is tape off the back of my piece. I forgot to do this with the last one. I was just so excited to be pouring the paint. I've clearly forgot a couple of steps. So if you do forget to tape it off like this, you can certainly go back once everything is dry and paint the back of it just to get it nice and clean and neat. Really just depends on whether you want the back of your canvas to be clean, so to speak. So once I had the tape on, I'm going to come in with my thumbtacks And I'm not going to push them in all of the way because I do want to give myself the option of being able to push one corner in more to get this all level. And I'm also being careful not to press these into the seam of the frame because I don't want to damage it or yeah, I don't want it to start splitting on me. So I've got my little Dollar Tree level. I'm making sure everything is level. I'm adjusting as necessary. And then once I am all good and level, I'm coming in with my titanium white paint again. This is the Amsterdam, and I'm giving it a nice cloud of paint. I'm going to kind of run it around a little bit here. And then I did learn that I can get this all coated with my hair dryer, and it just makes it a lot easier. So once I have it spread out a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and grab my hair dryer and just get it to coat the rest of the piece. So turning on that hair dryer and just blowing it out. And this is so satisfying to me. I don't know why, but I just love using the hair dryer on the paints. It just makes me happy. So going ahead and getting all of that blown out. I probably at this point should have also covered the edges with the white paint. I didn't bother with it just yet, but I'll go back in and make sure that everything is covered a little bit later. So I've got my crimson red again. I'm going to start with just a little puddle in the middle of the canvas. And then I'm going to layer this in circles, if you know what I mean. So coming in, this one is, I'm trying to remember if this was the phthalo blue, or I think this was the ultramarine. I think I only used the phthalo blue on that first project. So that's the ultramarine. And now this is silver. And I'm just going to continue to layer colors in the middle of the canvas. And I thought I was being really conservative with the amount of paint that I was putting down. However, this is a really small canvas. I want to say this is like a 4x6 canvas. It might be a little bit bigger than that. It's definitely not more than a 5x7. But I guess because it's such a small canvas, I needed even less paint than what I was actually using. But I'm having fun with it. So you'll see what I mean in a second when I go to blow this out. But if you want to have a lot of negative space, you don't want to use a whole heck of a lot of paint, which I am clearly doing. So once I had it all layered up in the middle, I'm just creating a cloud of paint or flooding the canvas here around my colors. And this is going to help allow the paint to flow better. And I'm going to use my little torch there for a second, get out some of the air bubbles, make sure that I'm ready to go. And then once I've got that done, I am going to grab that hair dryer again, and I'm going to blow the white over it, and then I'll be able to blow it out the other way. There's my cord again in the way. So I felt like this was over mixing a little bit. I wasn't really, it didn't do what I had hoped or expected it was going to do. It's still pretty cool, but I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but I just decided to come in and use my mouth to blow this out some more, and wanted some of that blue to come through a little bit better, which I started to get. And actually, I think that this turned out really pretty cool. I'm not quite done with it yet, but just blowing it out some more with my mouth and kind of looking at it and deciding if there's something more I want to do with it. And just kind of following my intuition, for lack of a better term. But I finally decided I wasn't going to mess with it anymore. I thought it looked kind of cool the way it was. So grabbed out my little torch again and just going over it with that so that I could get out the air bubbles. And again, in doing that, it brought up some of those little cells. So really, really cool. Now, they're not true cells like what you would get with silicone oil, and I do plan on doing a future project with silicone oil. I have not attempted it yet, but I'm excited to try it and see about actually getting cells. But right now, the stuff I'm calling cells are like little um, bubble bursts. But let me know what you think of this one. Paint pour project number 3. All right, another of these little canvases from the set that I got off of Amazon. I am going to go ahead and prep my canvas again. You can see me adjusting and pressing down more on those little thumbtacks, getting this all level, and then coming in with my titanium white paint again, giving it a nice big cloud of paint. And then I will go ahead and get that all spread out again. But I've realized not too late this time that I forgot to put something down under my surface. So I've got my little silicone mat. This came in a set of 3 off of Amazon as well. Again, available in my Amazon store. Link in the description box if that's of interest. And I used my little torch to blow out air bubbles or torch out air bubbles. And now I'm moving my paint around the canvas. I did see something as this was going that looked like was in the paint. So I'm going to be sticking my finger in there in just a second to try and get out the little glob of whatever it might have been. I'm not sure if I was successful right then in getting it out, but it all worked out well in the end. It might have just been a little bit thicker paint or something that it was just a little blub. So using that hairdryer again, getting it all over the canvas and making sure that I've got a prepped surface to work with here. And once that was all done, I am ready to come in with my paints. This is the ultramarine again. And I am going to be doing circles in the middle of the canvas again, like we did with the last piece, but I'm doing it in a different order. So I've got that ultramarine blue, and then I'm going to be doing the silver on top of that. For whatever reason, the blue with the silver, it just seemed like something that would look really pretty together for whatever reason. That was my thought, and I wanted something with the metallic that was going to give it a little bit of some more interest rather than just the flat colors. And so yeah, that was why I decided to use the silver with these. I've got my crimson layered on there. I'm coming back with some more silver. I do feel like I used a little too much silver in this one when I was doing the layering, but you'll see one way that I kind of compensate for that in a little bit. So going ahead with my titanium white and getting ready to flood this one, running the white paint all around the exterior of my colors that I put down. And then I'll be grabbing that hairdryer once again. If you haven't noticed yet, I really am having fun with the hairdryer and blowing out the paint. I need to try some other methods as well, but that's what I've been doing recently in my new endeavor here with the paint pouring. So blowing the white over it, and then I'm going to be going ahead and blowing it back. I am so looking forward to being able to get those wispy looking designs that I've seen Olga Sobi and Molly from Molly's Artistry do, and Renskadona. I'm not sure if I just pronounced her name right, but they have really inspired me, and yeah. This clearly doesn't look like what they make, but I am learning every single time I make a new creation. But I'm using my mouth now and just blowing it out. I think I had, again, too much paint on here. So it's, you know, a learning process for sure, but I'm having a lot of fun while I'm at it. So as I'm blowing this out, I'm looking at it and trying to decide what I can do. Grabbed my torch, popping the bubbles, and then I am just making sure all of my edges are all taken care of. I'm removing some of the paint drips from the bottom just to help it remain a little bit more cleaner. And now I'm going to take some extra white and I'm going to drop that right in the middle because I just wasn't happy with how heavy and dark it was there. So I did that, and then I'm just going to use my mouth, excuse my big head, right in the middle of the camera, but I'm just going to blow it out some more. And I just continued to do that until I got it the way I wanted it. And then I figured, you know what, maybe I'll do a couple of little finger swipes in here. Again, I was a little hesitant because I didn't want to ruin what I had done, but this experimenting is how we learn, right? And so I was just kind of going for it and just using my finger to draw some swipes, barely touching it, right? So my finger was barely touching the paint and just running through it. And that was it for this one. This is a little bit of chaos. Maybe that's what I'll call this one, but let me know what you think.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed these projects. If you did, please be sure to leave me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.